Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we're talking about Lucca. At the time of uploading this video, hopefully it's around when he drops on the global server, and I wanted to talk about whether I reckon the dude is worth pulling. Now, with this one, I'm certain on a couple things, but a little less certain on other things, because when I do these, it's always from a bit of testing on the test server. I haven't been able to thoroughly test the hero, so just take this one with a grain of salt. But for me, at the moment, for free-to-play, if you want my TLDR, I think he's probably going to be a skip for most free-to-play players. The reason being is, as always, people like to focus on their Dream Realm bossing results, and this guy does not really contribute to your Dream Realm. So if Dream Realm is your priority, this guy ain't going to be it. Now, do I think he has viability? Definitely. I pulled my one copy of him. I've been playing with him, just testing his mechanics, and based off of the mechanics of the way he works and his skill set when you read the numbers and when he gets more beefy, I do think he is going to be a very strong tank, a very strong dedicated tank. He's not going to be like a Tamesia for light bearers who scatters around and also has the damage amplification side. All he has is a tiny little attack buff of 5%. So he doesn't have crazy buffing capabilities, and that's why you're probably never going to see him in bossing unless there's something like a boss that does a ton of damage that in the future that like he needs to absorb a ton. I don't really see him doing that. But for AFK stages, I do think he is going to be a great tank. I said in my first video that I think of him kind of like the Lightbearer's version of Antandra, and that's still what I really consider him as. If I could find my Antandra, I would put her on screen. There she is. She's up there. I think he's very, very similar. They're very selfish characters, and they try and but honestly, Antandra's got more supportive capabilities, but it's kind of a different spread. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Antandra herself, but you know, he does have the supportive capabilities. His ult is going to punt enemies away from his back row, helping protect your allies and stuff like that. Once again, he does have that buff, but he's more about shielding himself, putting damage mitigation up, and then disrupting the enemies a little bit. Once again, it's not massive disruption, but it is kind of decent. So I do think he is going to be good in AFK stages. Whether he becomes better than something like an Antandra for newer players, I don't know, but still for newer players, I wouldn't recommend pulling this guy because newer players are still trying to beef up and get their Dream Realms going. So that is the thing. As for PvP, do I see a world in which he could function in PvP? Yes. Especially as an offensive character when you're coming against the defenses, if someone's using, you know, things like Sylvanas, or if they're using Valas, or if we get future lunges and stuff like that, then he can punt them away and he can help protect your team. I do think that is going to be a valuable thing that he can provide. But will he be like top meta in normal arena? I highly doubt it. Will he be top meta in Supreme Arena? I mean, I think he could be very, very viable. I'm not going to say he's going to be top meta, but I think if you had a beefed up version of Lucca, maybe he becomes really core in like a Lightbearer team where you're utilizing him as one of your 3 Lightbearers to go ahead and get the Lightbearer talent buff, which is so strong when you combine it with Rowan. So maybe you run him with a Rowan, and maybe for the final slot, you're running something like a Vala who's already good in PvP. And that's like a cleaner access, maybe a better access for Supreme Arena into getting that, Lightbearer bonus. But would I be pulling him for that specifically? Probably not myself. Now, if you're heavily competitive in the Supreme Arena, then go ahead. I fell behind in levels, so it doesn't even matter for me really on this free-to-play account. Because, you know, I'm free to play, I'm not going to compete too well. I'm a bit behind on levels, which means I'm getting stomped anyway, so he's not really going to change the world for me. But let's just do a recap of his kit for you guys so you can go into it with your thoughts. But once again, I will come back to you guys once I see others testing him on the global server. I'm not going to pull him on the global server. I just think he's a skip. Do keep in mind that we do have access coming next week or the week after to the swap for the A-level swap. So by the time we do get the next A-level hero in, if you do pull Lucca, you will be able to swap by the time we get the next A-level. So that is an option. If you're just like, dude, I'm itching, I got a bunch of diamonds saved, I need to summon something, you can do that and then swap. Just keep in mind, we do have things like Hodgkin, we have things like, what's her face? Dude, Sonya. Dude, I always forget her name for some reason. It just leaves my mouth. But Hodgkin and Sonya are like 2 other characters that we do have coming up that are in the S level range. At least I'm expecting them to be. So just know, I wouldn't be dumping everything into him and go unless you have enough to go ahead and at least get one of those 2 next. But once again, I think yes, PvE, AFK stage, maybe. We are also getting to the stage in the season where in the next sort of couple weeks, I would say, to a month, people will start hitting the soft cap on the levels. So if we go over here into the Dream Realm, we are hitting the point where, as you can see, season exceeding 800. Okay, so we're not quite at the soft cap. I'm a little bit off. I'm at 681, but probably in 3 weeks I will be there for soft caps. And once you hit soft caps, we saw in the last season. Now this season might be a little bit different, but the importance of pushing AFK stages does diminish a little bit. They also have that limiting system, which I never even saw how it works. If anyone did see how it works, that thing they put in the dev notes where they said, like, doesn't matter how far you are, your rewards will be capped here even if you're up this stage. I don't know what the cap is, but that is another thing to consider. But once again, I do think he is going to be decent for free to play, which is my main focus. I think he's going to be a fairly easy skip. And that's just the basic thoughts I have around him. But let's recap his skills. So his ultimate went on auto. I do like the fact that it is going to punt enemies away from the back row, but essentially he does have the 600 starting energy, which is a good thing to have on an ability like this, especially, like I said, when we look to maybe some PvP utility, it does allow him to go ahead and protect your back row quicker and get in there and get some defense going. Also has a little bit of control, which is going to be nice as well. Then we have the Ruthless Ram, which is on a 3-second initial cooldown, 8-second total cooldown. He gains a shield, which is solid, obviously. You know, like I said, he's a tank. He's a selfish tank. Gets it good. Now, the one thing I still haven't found out is what the disarming is exactly. Maybe I'll do some more deeper testing, but he hasn't seemed to be broken with it from my initial test. So basically, we've got a bit of control along with the self-shield. Then over here on this one, the Courageous Call. I wish this had a taunt. I really wish this had a taunt involved in it, because that's something that is absolutely amazing about Antandra when you use her in AFK stages. Once she uses that taunt, it really eases the pressure on everyone else, and the teams you use her in, it just really works well. So he unleashes a fierce roar, removing all dispellable debuffs from himself and reducing his damage taken by 25% for the next 5 seconds. The skill can be cast while Lucca is under dispellable effects. I love that line there. So if he's like, if this hits its cooldown on the 12 seconds, the initial 6 seconds, and he's controlled, boom, he's out and he's going. I really think the fact that this has the damage taken reduction, a taunt on this would not have been uncalled for. I feel like a taunt on this, combined with the fact that he has so much self-shielding and stuff like that, would have been absolutely fantastic for him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have it, and it is what it is. Then obviously being a tank, a very tank-focused tank, he is going to have that extra HP in the hero focus. This one for his exclusive equipment, is actually pretty decent. I do think this one is solid because he is, once again, adding towards that extra shielding capability, and if at least 2 allies are placed to support Lucca, expands Ruthless Ram's area of effect to 1 tile arc. So I think these 2 things are solid, but once again, it's nothing game breaking that I think it makes him a must pull. But that Ruthless Ram giving him an AoE on that interrupt and disarming effect is a nice little touch. But once again, I don't think it's going to make him broken. But once again, this is very early testing. I've only tested him after pulling 1 copy, and the rest is more theory based on reading him. So if anything does change and he becomes a must pull, which I highly don't think he will for free-to-play players, I will definitely let you guys know. And then obviously here, he's got a self-heal, but that's not huge. I mean, this could be really nice for him, actually, because he's such a tanky tank. He's got the shields, he's got the mitigation. Maybe it's going to be super clutch in pinch situations for the extra HP. But once again, that's my basic summary of the guy. I think for free-to-play, he is a safe skip. He's not really going to do anything in Dream Realm unless something I'm just completely missing pops up out of the blue. And then for AFK stages, yes, I think he's going to be very similar to Antandra in usage. However, he's going to be more focused around this season, applying that Lightbearer buff and getting a solid team that can use Rowan with him and the Lightbearer buff. So that's where I think his main usage is going to be. But once again, I will update you guys as I find out more, and that's my basic summary. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.